Hello, this is Eric again from the Griller Motorsports YouTube channel. This is episode 3. In this episode, I'm going to review the 2026 Subaru BRZ. So I purchased this car last week. So it's been just over a week since I've owned it. It's a very beautiful car. I mean, I got the TS edition, which comes with these 18-inch alloy black wheels, the Brembo brakes front and rear, which is awesome. This beautiful pearl blue metallic paint color. The mirrors and the shark fin for the antenna are all black. The calipers on the front are definitely much bigger than the ones on the back. I'll give you a nice little shot of the front end here. I have it in my garage because the weather's not so good right now, but it's a beautiful car all around. So that's basically the outside of it. I mean, if you've come to this page for a review of the BRZ, then you probably already know what it looks like. The next section of this video is going to take place inside the cabin, and I'm going to talk you through what the interior looks like. I have the key in my pocket, and it's got this cool little feature. There's not really a push button on these doors. My other vehicle is a Chevy Tahoe, and it has a push button that unlocks everything. But with these Subarus, if you put your hand in, it unlocks automatically for you. And there it is, it opened. Since I got the BRZ, it has the Alcantara trim with blue stitching and interior updates throughout. So it's got the blue stripe on the bottom of the seat, on the seat back. I believe the steering wheel has blue stitching in it as well as the leather around the shift knob and on the emergency brake handle. Now, this car does have a back seat, but it is very, very small. I am 6 foot tall, about 180 pounds, so nobody human will be able to sit behind me. This is basically the legroom they have. This is my hand. I can't even fit it completely through. So there is a back seat, but there's really no way for anyone to use it behind a 6 foot tall passenger or driver. My wife, however, is much smaller. She's only 5'2" or 5'3". So when she's sitting in the passenger seat, my son, who is 12 years old, can sit in the seat behind her. There's just enough room there for her. There's these interesting little seatbelt sleeves on the side. It kind of keeps the seatbelt right there for you when you get in and out. It makes it easier to reach and grab it. It's a quick, simple button. You can remove it and it goes away or it goes back. And then you just button it back into place like so. And I'll show you the trunk real quick. There's a little push button back here, right below the reverse camera sensor. Press that and the trunk opens up. There's not a whole lot of space in here. The dealer had said there's probably enough room for 2 sets of golf clubs. That's probably about accurate. And these cars are sports cars, and I didn't order it this way, but it does not come with a spare tire. So let me pull this up for you here. There's actually a compartment that is a tire inflator, I think, and it's got your tools there to jack up the car and take the lug nuts off. Actually, there's the jack over here. This is the tire iron, I believe. And there was a first aid kit in here as well. But basically, this is where the spare tire would go, because you could see it's round and it would fit in there. But for whatever reason, they don't provide one. I guess maybe you have to pay extra. That's maybe a dealer installed extra or something like that. But no spare tire. And since this spot is empty and it's underneath the trunk, seems to me like this would be a perfect place to put a subwoofer if you were so inclined to add one to this vehicle. So that's what the trunk looks like. Next video will be from the hood. And I popped the hood, so you can check that out if you want to. It's the C45 2.4 liter Subaru Boxer engine, a joint venture with Toyota. You can see both the names are actually on the engine. That's the reason that this hood is so low and it has such good sight lines is because the engine is a Boxer and it's so flat and small. It does have a ton of power though, and some interesting things I want to point out about this are the battery right here is in a good easy spot to access. So if you wanted to add like an amplifier or something else, you could easily connect wiring to this and run it throughout the car. It should be relatively easy to replace should the battery die. Also we have, and I thought this was genius, we have the oil fill is right here, right next to the oil filter. I have never seen an oil filter on the top of the engine before, but that makes changing the oil in this car so easy. I don't even have to jack it up. Actually, I guess I would have to jack it up still to drain the dirty oil out, but then I could just put the drain plug back in and then drive it off the ramps and then just do the rest of the oil change from up here. The air cleaners right here would be a pretty easy swap as well. Maintenance on this car looks pretty straightforward and simple. There's your radiator, your coolant overflow, and you shouldn't have to really mess with this much. But it looks like we have the master cylinder with the brake fluid reservoir here, with the windshield washer fluids right here. Yeah, everything's laid out pretty straightforward and easy to access. Again, it's a Boxer engine, so it's pretty flat and low slung. And yeah, that's it. The hood itself is actually aluminum. There's no supports, no gas pistons or anything. So you actually have to put an old school hood support rod up to hold it in place. And I will give more information on the interior in the next shot. There's one other interesting feature I wanted to show you about this car. So I did a Google search to see if puddle lights are actually come standard in this car in the doors. The Google search that I did said that it's not a standard option. It's a port installed option. So some cars may have it and some cars may not. So I'm going to unlock it and I'm going to open the door. And if you see, there is actually a puddle light on the bottom of my door. So I wanted to show that as well. I don't know if that's standard or if that's something you have to ask for, but this car has it, which is pretty cool. And I also wanted to show the process of me getting in and out of this car. I'm actually giggling a little bit because it's not as bad as it could be for some cars, but it's me being 6 foot tall and 180 pounds. It's still a bit of a chore. So I'm going to show you the process here. It's like, I'm not really being a contortionist, but once I get in, I have to push on the center console, lift myself up, get adjusted accordingly. And here I am. So now I'm in, and once in, it is relatively comfortable. One thing I wanted to show you was the center console. So here's the shifter, the emergency brake. This, I guess, would be where your elbow rests while you're driving. And then this is the center console with 2 charging ports. They're both 2.1 amp USB, and then there's an auxiliary input jack and 2 cup holders. When you're not using it, they can be closed as such, but I find every time I get in and I try to adjust myself, I put my weight here and I accidentally press this button, and that causes this to come open. I don't really mind if it's open or not, but it is kind of annoying that there's such little space, and when I get in, every time I bump this button and it causes this to open. So I pretty much just leave this open. And if I'm in here driving, there's no way I can use this as a cup holder. So I guess this is technically for the back seat passengers, but again, really nobody fits in the back seat. So these cup holders are kind of useless for anything other than, I don't know, I suppose like change, or sometimes I'll put my phone in there. I guess your MP3 player, if you actually have anything that still has an aux output jack. So there's that. Now I'm going to close the door here, and I will show you that this is where my seatbelt is because I have that little holder. Without that being there, I actually have to reach in a spot that is very difficult and tight. So this little button sleeve does help a lot. So I'll pull that out, buckle myself in. Again, this is a 6-speed manual transmission version, so I'm going to put my foot on the clutch. This automatically triggers the depressed braking clutch to push start to ignite. And then there's the ignition switch. And we'll press that. And then everything comes to life. And hopefully the radio wasn't too loud the last time I used it. I'll just actually turn it all the way down. I've been using satellite radio and I'm in the garage, so it's going to take a minute to pick up the signal. I guess if I press FM and go to like one of our local stations would be 102.5 DVE. There we have some music. There's a lot of different music settings that you can do on this. I'll go into those in a different video because there's definitely too much for this one session. This is just a review of the car in general. So the radio has FM, AM, Sirius XM. It has 3 different pages of 6 presets for up to 18 different preset music stations. If you press the home button, this brings up all the different options that you have. The radio, the media, the phone, the apps. These two, I'm not 100% sure what they do. Settings, obviously, is where you would change the tone and all the different sound adjustments and the different features of the car, like the cabin lighting, the puddle lighting, the volume, all those automatic volume adjustment for when you're driving, that kind of stuff. Let's see what's on page 2. And in addition, for shortcuts, there's the instrument cluster. There's a bunch of different options here on the right. I'm using the average miles per gallon and the distance to my tank being empty. If we switch it, there's actually a G sensor. So when you're going around turns, accelerator, braking, it'll tell you how many G's the car is pulling, which is pretty cool. You can have your radio information, and you can adjust the different settings for different safety features, lane departure warnings, that kind of stuff. And then we have SRH. There's more driver assist technology stuff there. And then you can adjust the eyesight, the units, the warning volume, stuff like that. Different text messages you may have on your phone. And now, so this is different information that you can get on the display. Again, I have it to average miles per gallon and miles to the empty. You can press down and it'll show average miles per hour, total hours on the engine, total driving time, tire pressure, battery charge, water temperature. So there's a bunch of different displays you can have on here. This is just the one I like to use for myself. The steering wheel has tilt and telescopic adjustment. It's old school, so you have to loosen the lever underneath the steering wheel to get to that. Just real quick, we have very good sight lines. There aren't a bunch of blind spots here through this car, so that's great as well. And if we look through the back window, you can see that that's pretty good as well. So there's good sight lines throughout this car. Last couple things about the interior. There's your interior dome lights, the incandescent still, I think, which is kind of odd. And then, you know, you can have those turn on with the door, or you can have them turn off so that they don't activate with the door. And then I have the mirror with the home link and the directional sensor, I guess you call it. So this button right here will open and close the garage door. I don't have anything programmed for the second and third buttons. And it has automatic dimming, which is cool. So if somebody's driving behind me with the high beams on, it doesn't blind me. That's pretty much all I have from the inside at this point. So, well, actually there are a few more things. It has electronic adjustment on the mirrors, so you can pick your left mirror, move it in and out, up and down. The right mirror in, out, up and down. They don't fold, but you don't need it because this car is really small. Oh boy. was an incoming call. A very convenient timing there. Apparently I have that volume too loud, so I'll have to adjust that. And then for the windows, there's one touch down, one touch up, and then I can lock the windows so the passenger can't adjust it if I would want them to not adjust it. And then the last thing I wanted to show, I'm going to open the door here real quick so the cabin lights turn on. But the hood release is like right down here on the side. So it took me a minute to find it before, but that's where it is. Okay, so we took a little bit of a trip, and I realized I forgot to talk about these temperature controls in the middle. They're actually pretty cool little dials. My wife likes the tactile stuff rather than the touchscreen mechanisms, but these are turn dials, which are pretty cool. The different settings you can adjust by turning as well. And then there's the different modes. So this is, you know, split up and down. That's completely the bottom. That's defrost and bottom. That's top only. And then I like 50-50 split. But this is the recirculation. I'm not 100% sure why that's on. Somebody must have hit that button by accident. So I'm going to turn that off. And the sync button will basically just make the left and the right sides of the cabin have the same temperature. I usually like to drive with that on. Sometimes a passenger will come in and adjust that, and that turns the sync off. The other thing this car has is adaptive cruise, which is really nice. So you just press it in. Once you get to a speed that you like, you press down, and that will set the cruise control. And then it actually follows the car in front of you. So if you have it set for 60 and the guy in front of you is only going 55, it'll actually give you a cushion, and that way you don't have to turn the cruise on and off, which is a pretty cool little feature. Kind of unexpected for a manual transmission where you may have to shift gears, but it is what it is. The other thing it has on this side is automatic headlights. So I like to keep the auto turned on. And when you have the automatic headlights turned on, it'll just use daytime running lights during the day, and at night it has a sensor that'll tell it it's dark and turn on your headlights. And when you have it in the auto mode, if you push it forward and then pull it back immediately, it sets the auto high beams, which is a pretty cool little feature. So when there's no traffic or traffic signals in front of you, the high beams will automatically turn on. As soon as a car or a traffic light appears, it'll turn back down to regular lights. The only feature that this doesn't have that I'm used to from my other car is the automatic windshield wipers. So you don't necessarily have to zoom in on that. That's good right there. But they're either on in an intermittent state, they're on a full slow, a full medium, or a full fast. My other car, you can turn it to the first level and then set it slow, and then they just won't turn on unless it's raining. This car doesn't have that feature, but that's fine. We have the hazard lights here, the different dials for the air conditioning vents. But that's about it as far as the interior goes. Okay, I wanted to show everyone how smooth shifting this car is and how loud it is. So this is a manual transmission. I've had several manual transmission cars over my lifetime, but it's been almost 25 years since my last one. This one shifts really smooth. I don't know if he's been watching the shifter or not, but I don't even have to go through every gear. I basically do first, second, and fourth, maybe sixth, or first, third, and fifth. But we're going 35 now, which I think is enough. So I'm going to hit the cruise control. I'm going to turn it on, and I'm just going to let it drive. So this is pretty cool. I'm going to turn off the music so you can hear the cabin noise. Again, this car, when I read the reviews, it said that there was a fair amount of cabin noise in this car. I don't hear it. I mean, the engine is it's really quiet unless you're getting on it. The tires and the road don't make a whole bunch of noise. Yes, it's very smooth, very quiet, great riding car. I'm not going very fast, so the turns aren't going to seem very sharp or anything, but yeah, it's a good, smooth, quiet driving car. I've been on cruise this whole time, which is great. I'll turn the cruise off now. I've got my automatic headlights on. They come on and off from time to time because it's almost dusk. So there's a cool little feature about these headlights. When you turn the steering wheel, your headlights turn and follow, lead you around the bend, which is really cool. overall, it's a great little car. It's I'm even giving these guys a lot of space here because this is a pretty slow road. But if I wanted, I was just in 6th, so if I dropped down to 3rd and hit the gas, I mean, I'm still in the braking phase, so I don't want to break my engine, so I've got to watch my RPMs. But this car's got a ton of get up and go. When you get on it, you can hear the engine a little bit, but it's definitely not bad. Down here, there's a little safety catch for the reverse gear. I'm about to back into my garage, so you have to pull that up, come forward, and go in. It's nice. It keeps you from going into reverse when you're in forward motion. And then once you start backing up, there's a nice little backup camera here. A lot of new cars have this feature, so it's not unique to this one in particular. It's a nice little feature though. It's also supposed to have automatic reverse braking, so that if you start, like if you're not paying attention or there's something behind you that you don't see, it's supposed to automatically apply the brakes for you. I haven't had that activate yet, so I don't know how well it works, but that is supposed to be a feature of this car. And one other thing I wanted to mention, the friction point on these cars, it's a little bit, it's very small. So if you're used to driving a 5-speed or manual transmission, the friction point when you're starting out is interesting and you have to get used to it. And one thing I wanted to point out, if my camera can get this, there's a hill start assist on this car. That's fine right there. So if you're on a hill, if you've driven a manual transmission before and you're on a hill stopped in traffic, you know what it's like to try to move forward without hitting the car behind you. Well, this hill start assist is pretty nice because it actually holds you in place until you start moving forward. So it's a nice little feature for a manual transmission. I have that on my Chevy Tahoe, but that's for towing basically, so that if you have a trailer attached and there's extra weight, it won't drift backwards before you take off. But it's a nice little feature of this car. There are a few more things I need to address before we wrap up this video. This car in particular, I believe it's with the TS trim package. It comes with the heated seats. The driver and passenger seat both have a high and a low heated seat. And the last thing we have here, I haven't really had a chance to experiment with these because, again, I have not reached the break-in mileage on my engine, and I don't want to damage anything before it's in a state for me to actually start really getting on it. But there's 3 buttons here underneath the shifter. They are, this button here disables the traction control. This one puts it into sport mode, which basically puts a different fuel injection and timing map to the engine, which affects the throttle response. And it has a nuisance effect as well. There's a little plug-in module behind the glove box that actually pumps engine noise through the cabin. I think it's completely unneeded, but when you press the sport mode, it actually turns the volume of that up to make it sound like you have a sportier, racier engine, something like that. I don't know. I'm going to end up unplugging it from behind the glove box, so I don't have that sound pumped through the internal cabin at all. And lastly, we have a track mode, which reduces the traction control of the back tires a little bit and turns off some of the other stability controls, so you can do like autocross and things of that nature without triggering the lane departure warnings and all the other safety features that could beep at you while you're driving. So those are the last things I wanted to call out. That's basically the end of my video. So at this point, I'm just going to say, if you found this video useful at all, please hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for upcoming videos. I'm planning to install some aftermarket parts here now that we have the review of the car down. So please stay tuned, and again, hit the like button and subscribe, and see you in the next episode. Thanks. Bye.